Suzanne, I love doing a show where we talk so much about travel, and both of us are traveling today in hotels. How fun is that?
I love that we're both in hotels today. I think that makes it amazing for our guest.
And it does, and we got a great guest today. Stay
I'm
tuned.
Anthony. Welcome to No Vacancy Lives. That's my friend Glenn.
You're watching the number one show in hospitality. Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to No Vacancy Live. I'm Glenn Hausman. That's producer Suzanne Vagnara. Suzanne, so great to see you. Thanks for pinching in today.
I am happy to help do so. I am actually live at the Opal Grand Oceanfront Resort and Spa in Delray Beach. At the HFTP conference, just came off the stage when I think you reached out and said, hey, come join me. So I am thrilled to step in front today and instead of hanging
Awesome. And I am here in West Jordan, Utah. It's a suburb of Salt Lake City. Yesterday, I helped open this hotel where I'm at right now during the grand opening ceremony. It's an extended stay property, which is the darling of the business these days. And I might mention that. Maybe we'll even start the conversation with the incredible developer, industry visionary, owner, operator, all the above, Mr. Mitch Patel, President and CEO of Vision Hospitality Group. Mitch, how are you, sir?
Doing well, Glenn. How are you doing today?
Dude, I'm doing great, except for the fact that after we do this, I've got to go to an airport. So there is that. But thank goodness I have a free chat. But Mitch, I know we didn't talk about this ahead of time, but extended stay really has been the darling for the last few years. How are you seeing the extended stay market right now, being that you have such a portfolio of traditional brands and select service and lifestyle brands and all of that?
No, look, extended stay, our extended stay hotel, my first hotel was an extended stay hotel, and I was the general manager of that hotel.
Right.
Really got my feet quickly wet in that segment. And we've developed and we operate extended stay hotels, many since then. And as you know, and during the pandemic, those hotels did better than others.
Yeah.
And I think that really opened a lot of people's eyes that, hey, going forward, this is a day-to-day lease business. There is a risk. We saw the worst of it
Right.
during the pandemic, and we saw some of the best of it as we're coming out of the pandemic, as we were growing rate. And extended stay has been the darling of our industry. But a lot of people are now getting into that space. So we've got to monitor it carefully, but we still believe in it.
That's cool, Suzanne.
I was going to say, my favorite model, honestly, was extended stay. I was general manager in limited service and full service and select service. And at first, there was a lot of hesitation because there is that mindset that you don't necessarily know how to pivot and play in that space because it is a different model, but was successful at it and really enjoyed that space with our guests and the team members. It's a very different mind shift, but I really enjoyed it. And so it's great to see that you all are expanding in that way and started that way too.
Yeah. So, Mitch, I was at LendingCon last week down in Orlando, Florida. So we were talking about development and deals. I had the opportunity to interview, interact, and record with a couple of congressional representatives, for example. We're really trying to figure out what's going to be happening as far as development goes and how government can assist with that. But I'm curious from you, Mitch, how are you thinking about the overall development climate today, and how do you anticipate it going forward? Because in September, everyone's betting on an interest rate cut.
Now, look, every company creates value differently, Glenn, and we have historically created value through development. We've developed over 60 hotels, and we currently have 40, 42, 43 hotels in our portfolio with another 15 in our development pipeline. So we are extremely active in the development front. We have 5 of those are under construction. More will be breaking ground soon. It's not easy. I will tell you, it's probably the most challenging environment that I've seen in probably 27 years. And that includes coming right out of
that's a big statement, Mitch, because like I've been going around telling people, hey, look what it was like before the Great Recession. Interest rates were high then and even higher. So to hear you say most challenging now is pretty surprising.
No, it absolutely, and I think there's a lot of factors in there. One, construction costs have escalated dramatically. What happened coming right out of the Great Recession was construction costs went down.
Right.
People say construction costs never go down. They did. It went down almost 25%.
Oh,
We were building hotels at let's just take a Hampton Inn block and plank.
right.
I think for about $125 a square foot right around '07. And it dropped all the way down to $85 a square foot. And we went out and built 14 hotels between like 10, 11, 12 around that time and opened them up. And this business is about basis, right? At the end of the day. And if you could come in at a great basis and then ride that wave up with RevPAR and valuation, then you could be very successful. And that's like with any investment, right? If it's by buying stock with like the stock market with Apple or Amazon, right? What was your basis and where is it today? And so we did extremely well developing during that time. And so now fast forward to today, construction costs escalated quite a bit. And then the pandemic hit and we kind of paused and we said, okay, here may be another great opportunity for us. Construction costs has to come down, right?
Right.
And it didn't. And so because of the inflation environment, of course, the supply chain challenges, the labor challenges, there's some statistic that we were building as many buildings, a few years ago as we were back in '07 or '06, or maybe even quite a bit more. But guess what? With 30% less construction workers. And so something has to give. And the average age of a construction worker is only growing. So It's been a big challenge in the construction industry and cost that just has escalated. So that, and then on top of that, you add the current interest rate environment. When you get into low double-digit returns, high single-digit returns for a development deal, that's hard to kind of swallow, right? People are going to go, why am I taking this kind of risk building a hotel when I could put my money into some other vehicle and get X return? So it is challenging, but it's like anything. You got to find that right opportunity, Glenn, that right market, the right location.
Totally.
Right brand.
And you're totally anticipating my next question. So how did you think about a deal today? And maybe how are you thinking about lowering the cost of construction and these other elements to help all of those things come together when you're paying more in interest than you have been in a number of years?
Yeah, no question. So there's a lot of things, this is something that I'm personally very involved in. Of my background, I'm a civil engineer. That's what I studied.
No way.
And that first hotel, Glenn, I built it as a contractor, even though I never built a shed before. And so it's, there's a lot that goes involved in it. And there's a saying that I say all the time, and I talk about with my team all the time. Let's place money where guests notice and save money where guests don't care, right? And it sounds simple, but guess what? Most people don't execute it that way. And so I have never seen anywhere on TripAdvisor, I'm going to ask you this.
Yep.
I've never seen on TripAdvisor anyone comment on steel, rebar, concrete, retaining walls, and those kind of things, right? So what we do is, we spend a lot of time on making sure that box is efficient, the square footage, the structural. There's millions in those areas. And then we reallocate it and make sure that it's in hardscaping, landscaping,
Right.
interiors, FF&E, that making sure that we nail the bed, the fundamentals of hospitality, nail the bed. You guys are traveling, you're staying at hotels, right? nail the bed, nail the shower, hot water, fast with good pressure, and making sure that let's not lose sight on the fundamentals, and let's make sure that we're efficient. So we have a way going about it and how we go about developing it, developing these hotels, and we've become very good at it. I'm not going to tell you that it's still challenging, but and I think the volatility. One thing I do want to share, Glenn, is there was tremendous volatility in 2021, 22, and even into 23 with construction costs. What we're seeing is there's some more clarity now. We're seeing that volatility has diminished, and I think that contractors are now finally picking up the phone, calling us. Subcontractors are calling us. We're not calling them. And we're starting to see that turn. And I'm not going to tell you we're going to see what we saw in 2010, 11, 12, but we are starting to see where things are settling down there. And then interest rates, you brought up just came back from LendingCon. Hopefully that we're going to see some rate cuts here soon this year. And that's going to help with development costs going forward. And then hopefully it helps us underwrite where rates may be when you open the hotel. That is more critical to me than the carrying cost of interest during construction.
So I think what you're saying then, and we have a lot of people that don't understand this as well as you do, whether you're going to get one loan and then kind of refinance it once you open, and you're banging on 18 months from when you start construction to you open, those numbers are going to drop and make it a little bit easier. So then you can have more profitability than you would have budgeted for when you start construction, right?
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, look, most construction loans are really just short term, right? It's going to be for during the
right. So you have to pay them off. So you go ahead and get another loan to take care of that construction loan, and then you have it. That makes a lot of sense to me. Suzanne?
Well, I will start by saying that I did my dissertation using TripAdvisor, and I would agree that those terms are not terms because I had over 120,000 pages of reviews, and I did some word analysis, and those were documents that came in there. So your assumption is right that way. Well, I think what I want to try to understand a little bit more for myself and for our viewers is knowing that you have these challenges and tied with labor, not necessarily having enough people, and the your mentality of really trying to get the hospitality basics right. What is the best model, or is it limited service? Is it full service? Is it extended stay, select service? What is fitting the mix for you all now? And then where do you all see yourselves as you continue the pipeline of adding more properties to fit the right challenge of our industry?
No, look, that's a great question. Labor is going to continue to be a challenge for our industry. It's been alleviated somewhat here recently, but I think going forward 5, 10, 15 years into the future, it's going to continue to be a challenge. And there's all kinds of discussions taking place on how we could better leverage technology, right, to help alleviate that. But we are in the human capital side of the business that's layered on top of the real estate side of the business. So we have to be very mindful of that. To answer your question more specifically, we have full service hotels, we have boutique hotels with multiple food and beverage outlets, and then of course we have select service hotels and extended stay select service hotels. So we want to be in the select service segment, and what I often say, lifestyle select service. And I want to dig into that a little bit. So that's a low labor model. Absolutely. You don't have, I've had hotels where I had 125 employees, I don't want those type of hotels. And I've seen during the pandemic, the really difficult decisions that we've had to make, right? And if and the select service extended stay hotels with a lower labor model flourished. I don't want to say flourished, but did better than others. So Yeah, so we want to stay in that space going forward, and that's like a Hampton Inn, a Residence Inn at a great location, really top-notch brands that are proven. And then I want to touch on that lifestyle select service.
Yeah.
We were the first company to develop a ground-up Moxie in Denver, Colorado. Many years ago, we just opened. I just got back from Boulder, Colorado.
Right.
A Moxie there in Boulder, Colorado, just yesterday. And so AC Hotels, Tempo, the new brand that Hilton has come up with. I really like that space a lot. I think, as you know, people are craving for experiences. Thankfully, I gotta say this. I heard this somewhere that about 5-6 years ago, the experience economy overtook the commodity or the material economy in this
Right.
country.
I see that as a direct reaction to the Great Recession and move away from materialism.
That's right. And after during the pandemic, as you know, people were buying things because they couldn't buy experiences because of they couldn't because of safety reasons. But as soon as they could, look at what happened, right? It just took off. And we saw this incredible pent up demand for travel and human interaction and going out to eat and so forth. So, but lifestyle, getting back to lifestyle is taking those elements that are in these boutique hotels and packaging it like what Marriott and Hilton and some of these companies have done. Music, lighting, elevated design, B&F, beverage and food, and those kind of things. And I think that I really like that space because as an award winning developer operator in the select service space and having the opportunity to do boutique hotels, we're combining those elements and creating very unique experiences, but within a select service box in terms of the business model.
Okay.
And we're getting a premium rate. And you're saying, so why? Because we're providing a unique experience, and that unique experience becomes the commodity, and people will pay a premium for that. Do I have a minute to tell a story?
Yes, but I'm going to write down this question I have for you while you tell that story so I don't forget it.
All right.
Go for it. Tell the story.
No. So I'll tell you, my first lifestyle experience, I'll be quick, was when I bought a commodity to take me from point A to point B, from Atlanta to London. Okay.
Yeah.
It's a commodity, right? And when I got to, I bought it on Delta One. When I got to the airport, it was their affiliate airline, Virgin. And so it was a really small plane, and I was kind of disappointed when I initially saw it. And then when I got on the plane, it was a really small first class seat. And I'm like, again, a little disappointed, but that's when my disappointment ended because of the music, the lighting,
Right.
the uniforms, the food and beverage, the entertainment system, the stand-up bar, the smells. They made it a memorable experience, and the memorable experience became the commodity. And I really, really enjoyed it, and I would pay a premium for that experience again. And so why I love telling that story is with Moxie. Let's use that as an example. It's a 185 square foot room. You can't just go market a 185 square foot room. Why would people want to stay there? For the music, the lighting, the entertainment, the activation, the public spaces, the high design, the B&F, all those things create that experience. And you know this, and people don't hang out in the room as much as they used to.
Totally.
So I think rooms are going to get smaller, and I think public spaces are going to get bigger. And I think that these kind of things, that activation of those public spaces, are going to be what people crave for. So I have to share that.
I would say, Mitch, that the rooms have already gotten smaller over the last 10 years once the millennial trend started and we started discussing having people out of the room. Some of it, I think, is based on consumer trends. Some of it is also based on the big brands trying to sell it as a lower construction cost for one. So those two things came together. But what I want to talk to you about is yeah, you get premium pricing in the room, but we're really moving to an environment now, particularly with technology, that it's really about profit per available customer, right? So, how are you thinking about these experiences on site in a select service environment that gets them to spend more money willingly?
Absolutely. So it's going to be much more challenging at a Hampton Inn, right? Now
Right.
we might develop one of those in an urban area in a great neighborhood and put a bar, in that Hampton Inn and generate some additional revenue there. We might have a robust market. We really believe in that. Whatever the prototype is, we might
Right.
want to expand it because people want convenience. If I could sell beer out of that or sell some food out of that, people will do it instead of walking blocks to get something. And so that is a way to generate some additional revenue. But getting back to the lifestyle boutique, the lifestyle select service space, we are generating a tremendous amount of revenue outside the hotel rates.
Right.
And so we're oftentimes doing millions of dollars in B&F revenue just from the lobby itself and the activation, the bar, and so forth.
Right.
With
So essential.
yeah, you're not getting away this stuff. You've got the market, you've got parking revenues, and so these are very important revenue streams that we rely on to justify the development costs of that project. And if it wasn't for those, then we would probably have a challenge. And you touched on the B and F earlier
Yeah.
before we went live. And
Um,
why do we put B before F? Because I love beverage before food. There's better
Yep.
margins there. I want to create food and beverage. I said it wrong. Beverage and food outlets where people are going to go there for a drink first. And guess what? If they happen to be hungry, I will provide small plates
Yep.
foods. And as opposed to being in the restaurant business, which we have a few, and it's challenging, where I'm going to go there to eat. And guess what? If I'm thirsty, we happen to have drinks.
Right.
There's so much better margins here with rooftop bars, speakeasies, lobby bars, sometimes as high as 45% margin. So if you're looking at let's just say $1 million in B&F revenue and 45% margins, you put a 7.5, 8.5 cap on that. You do the math on what valuation you just created with that, and the experience.
Right. I absolutely love that. And it's interesting to me what's happening in the hospitality industry. I think since like brands like Hilton Garden Inn came on the scene, I call them like quasi full service hotels. They aren't select service hotels, they aren't full service hotels. I think it's really a coming together here. And I think what you're setting up here right now, I think the next generation of prototypes, the next generation of new brands are going to start to muddy the waters in that sense, where the full service hotels will still have bell people and conference space, but all the other types won't, right?
That is correct. And we developed Hilton Gardens courtyards for decades, and they are that they'll have meeting space where we could accommodate weddings. They'll have a bar, yeah, and restaurant. And the margins tend to be so much better than in the full service space.
Yeah, it's amazing how that works. Suzette, got anything else?
I was just going to say on the beverage side, because that was my one note as you were talking about before. I think that's a piece where, ironically, FIU, it's been a aspect that we've focused on. We have the Bacardi Center of Excellence, and we actually have students that really engage in the art of the craft cocktail and making it, and learning how to be sustainable in that component, because that's where we see the opportunity and value to drive some of those revenues. So to see that the others start to get it as you do is fantastic.
Yeah, she's talking cocktails, but I'm interested in what you're seeing in regards to the opportunity with mocktails. From my point of view, I've really seen them come into the fore over the last couple of few years, and I think there's good opportunity there. Am I right about that? And if so, are you leveraging it?
No, absolutely. You are absolutely right about that. The trend is growing. A lot of young people, surprisingly,
Yep.
a lot of young people
Sure.
are not drinking alcohol, but they still want to get out and go to that rooftop bar and have a great experience with friends that might be drinking alcoholic drinks. And this way they feel included, and to have a mocktail that looks great, that there's a story behind it. How was it created? And or a mocktail version of something that may be popular at that particular bar. So I think that trend is going to continue to grow. And yes,
I do too. For me personally, Mitch, it's like I still enjoy alcoholic beverages, but I don't necessarily want 4 of them when I'm at the bar, right? So it's a good way to experiment with flavors. Listen, you don't have to tell people how I really act over there. But it's true because, honestly, as I'm getting older, I can't drink as much and I still want to hang out. Now, I'm one of those people, Mitch, that like when I don't have anything to say, I just sip for no reason. So I could go through them a little quickly,
So I hear you loud and clear. I was just at the grand opening of the Moxie, which I just mentioned, and dinner afterwards, and the guys that were around me wanted to drink some tequila.
Right.
And so we were drinking some sipping tequila, and the next day I did not feel so good.
Yeah. True. Mitch, before we wrap up, where do you see overall consumer sentiment as it pertains to traveling, being in the hotels, and spending money out and about on these experiences?
Absolutely. So, look, I'll be quick. I think in the short term, there's going to be some challenges. We have 70% of our economy is based on consumer spending, and consumer spending, as you know, consumer confidence drives consumer spending. And what drives consumer confidence? Household balance sheets. So you're seeing a tale of two cities. The wealthy and the upper class. They're not seeing some huge challenges with their household balance sheet, home values. The market, and they're traveling, they're spending money. But when you go down the food chain, look, it's challenging, right? Rent, gasoline, food costs. 45% of Americans are in credit card debt. They're paying 28, 30% interest. Think about that. Of course, that's going to impact travel coming into Orlando, where it could cost thousands to take your family, right, to Disney World. So we're seeing absolutely some of that. We're seeing occupancy dip at many of the markets that we're in, but we had some great demand though coming out of the pandemic. So do keep that in mind. And so, but we're starting to see that in the economy hotels, which we don't have too many of them, but I do have many family members and peers that are in that segment, and they're down. They've been down somewhat. So that's going to be challenging. But I want to end on the macro economics. Demand is going to far outpace supply in the next 5 to 10 years. I strongly believe in that. If you talk to any young person, they want to spend more money on travel than any other generation before that. Even baby boomers are spending a lot of money on travel, going to see concerts, going to see family members. I know some people that are just saying, let's go down the road, down the interstate, and find a place, and we're going to keep on driving and we'll figure it out. And so people are they want to travel. So I think travel is only going to grow, and I think it will grow at a greater clip than supply for the reasons we talked about earlier. And so I think that really sets our industry up for tremendous success in the next 5, 7+ years and beyond.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think society has shifted permanently to experience economy. We see that with the younger people today. My kids have no desire for things at all. We used to hang out at the mall. They don't even know what that is. They would much rather go and do something with their friends and be outdoors or have some sort of experiences. Mitch Patel, thank you so much. This has been an absolute delight. And I'm sure I'll see you on the road at like the Lodging Conference, if not sooner.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. It was a blast, and look forward to seeing you all soon.
Awesome. You rock. I want to thank all of you guys for watching today. And of course, make sure you follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Download all of our shows. You're going to want to listen to this one over and over again. Of course, you could watch us wherever you want. LinkedIn, Facebook, and NoVacancyNews.com. Thanks for being here, everyone. And we'll be back I'll be at Southern Lodging Summit next week. So we won't be live next week, but I'll have a lot of content from there. Meanwhile, be well, Remember, you got one life, so blaze on, eh?
Follow your passion.
Y'all later. All right.